This part of the Star Cruiser commentary is brought to you by Channel 57, a battleground for competition and variety in Corvallis. Chanda Unique.
We're not that funny.
The first annual Chanda Unique Potato Roast, a collaborative special roasting competition filled with mature comedy spanning across 30 minutes and change, is now available in its ultimate uncut form on Royameadow the channel. Watch today! For more on Chanda's regular material, you may go to her channel. For updates from her, visit her social media handles, and go to Teespring for CDUQ merchandise. Keyword, Unique Chanda. Welcome to part 6 of the Star Cruiser 1988-89 commentary. This is probably going to be very big in plot, and the first thing we have to do is go over to the labyrinth. If Star Cruiser just so happened to have been turned into a Sonic the Hedgehog Mania mod at some point, or even Sonic the Hedgehog 2013, this is the area you don't want to be in. So, Planet Hurricane's gimmick, you have these enemies here. You got Ropar, and then you have the other enemy, whatever the discus thing is. So, we have a situation here. We have to kill these things, but right now, the issue is, there is actually an enemy generator. Yes, just like how Sonic the Hedgehog CD had the the robot generator, we have to deal with a bio generator here. Why we have to tackle haunted trees, however, is well beyond me. Looks like Halloween around here. Either way, you know what, these aren't trees. They're more like bats. Tall bats. With big ghost, with big ghost clothing on them. But yeah, you saw that flicker? So the situation ultimately is this. Enemies will regenerate depending on where you step. So you better make sure you're going on the path to the robot generator, which is what I'm doing here. So I'm about to scan this enemy. Corpuscle. Yeah, that sounds like a Halloween name to me. How convenient. I put Halloween as part 6. You know, somehow that's kind of fitting. Either way, so now we have an info card. This is probably this is when you need to have Analyzer 2. The biological weapon requires a generator of some sort. That's its weakness. When a generator is destroyed, the weapon can no longer be used or produced. So, yeah, the way that I see it, and also because they have, these guys have boomerang-style shots. Sure, they don't fire like a boomerang, but they look like a boomerang. Either way, you might think that these guys actually do more damage. I think they do. It doesn't feel like it, but it looks as if it does. It's just because of their shape. Either way, so once you destroy this bioweapon generator, now you have to make it to the exit. The only problem you will have, however, is this. Will you have enough energy? And do you care as to whether or not you have deuter ores? Ultimately, you don't need to use your deuter ores here. But again, that is entirely dependent on how you go about with this area. Because again, I could just be killing all these things with 8-shot 2 and call it a day. But I don't want to do that. I just don't want to do that. So by taking the aggressor strats that I am, I'm trying to find my way to the blue wall. It's actually kind of a shame, though, that we're playing the Sharp X68000 for this, because Well, at least when it comes to the map. The map is really the only problem with the Sharp X68000 port. Because in every other entry of Star Cruiser, or at least every other port, but no, not exactly every other port, specifically the PC9800 version. The PC9800 version had a rather spacious area map for what it's worth. It's not like it was, you know, in-your-face technology. You know, here I am just going to be looking at small parts of the screen. You actually saw a hefty amount of the screen. Also, I must warn you about those warp pads. Do not use them. Do not use those warp pads, because you can get lost in here very quickly. And especially if you have to deal with the corpuscles. The corpuscles you'll probably run out of energy on more than these guys. But that's just to be expected. It's to be expected when you're dealing with this tier of enemy. Because by this point, this game expects you to have decent resources that won't cause you to splurge. Yeah, splurge on fuel. If you still happen to have the base shield at this point, yeah, the regular shield, I would kind of be surprised if you could survive this on the regular shield, at least in a non-TAS. In an RTS, you probably might have some issues, but it probably won't be nearly as bad as I'm thinking. I think this is also one of the only areas too that uses it has a forest. Because ultimately, that is what Hurricane is. A forest. There's really nothing more to it. By the way, it is still July 30. I dropped my mouse. Don't worry though, I'm fine. The Picasso mouse is fine. It's still 89 degrees in here. When will it hit 90? Is this place too dedicated to the point where... I'm not getting a signal. Okay, we're good. We're good. Sometimes it takes a little bit if I accidentally drop the mouse in order for the Picasso to be able to regain a signal, but that's fine. That's fine. This is probably one of the best gaming mice I could have gotten at the time. Yep, the Picasso A8 gaming mouse. Shared joy of life is its slogan. Again, for what it's worth, when I initially got this mouse, it cost only about $9. Probably about $11 or so with shipping. If you try finding this now, good luck. It can go for about $49.99 or $54.99. This is a very expensive mouse now, but it is a ducking durable one. And it's not true RGB. You only have a few colors. You have red, you got blue, then you have a pinkish side of purple, and then you have just straight up violet. Or more specifically, a bolder version of Purple Mountain's Majesty. Yes, the Crayola crayon color from the early to mid 2000s. Well, that is assuming that you either had a 64 color set or you had a 96 set. I had both a 96 and a 100 set. Both of them, however, have been lost to the fabric of time because that was while I was still in Mattapan. That didn't come over with me to Lynn. We lost a lot of stuff when we moved from Mattapan to Dorchester Court or Dorchester Court or Dorchester Center. People in the recording room are saying both, which is true. Because after my time in the Mattapan region, I had time in both. Less so Columbia Road, because that was just supposed to be for summer of 07, and I won't lie, Columbia Road has gotten ridiculous lately. I mean, if it's not accidents, it's shootings, and if it's not shootings, it's some KFC getting held up. That is on Columbia Road, right? That was on Columbia Road, or am I thinking the wrong area? Ugh. I'll have to regather my news details later. But either way, you know, I was at my residence in Mattapan for over 11 years. I've been here at Home Base 7 2008 for over 11 years as well. I've technically been in Lynn longer than I've been in Boston. Roughly 12 and change, if not 13 and change, compared to Mattapan and Dorchester's 11 to 13, because technically I did still reside. I was having dual residency in Boston and Lynn between 07 and 09, but it really wasn't until like January of 09 where I had basically stuck in Lynn full time. So yeah, technically I've had about 13 years with both of the two of the most important cities with my life. If anybody would ask, would I go back to Home Base 3 1996? Under the current circumstances with the way that Mattapan is right now, probably not. Probably not. I do, however, at some point intend to have another recording base and residency in Boston, along with what I'm doing here in Lynn, but at this time, funds are insufficient. Because I also intend to have bases in New York, Toronto, somewhere in Britain. I'll probably choose an area up in the hills where there's nothing to worry about. Almost accidentally used the decoy flares. Where else? Probably an area in Switzerland. Very likely an area in Japan, without a doubt. Maybe South Korea, more than likely somewhere in Australia or New Zealand. If I forgot some other locations, I'll probably figure out later on. The only reason why I wouldn't go to Florida is just, reside in Florida would ultimately be because of the extreme humidity that they have there, plus their hurricane season is horrible. Same thing with Texas. But Texas has its... I'm not going to complain too much about Texas. Texas is gradually becoming more bluer by the day, but it's not where we need it to be right now. And of course, since most of Texas is flatland, to my knowledge, that's why it is very hurricane prone in recent years. And California is at the constant risk of breaking off of the U.S. because of earthquakes. And because of that most recent series of earthquakes and the thousands of aftershocks afterward, I mean, I can't even reside in California. And here's the thing. The states where I get the most views for this channel, or where we get the most views, Massachusetts, New York, Florida, Texas, and California, usually with California and New York being in position 2 and 3. And now it's time for the boss fight. This is Crimson Scorpion, who just so happens to be Gibson! Oh! What kind of plot twist is this? Yep, either way, Gibson's explanation is that he did it all for money, he's fallen so low, and now you're at a worry to die. Not really, because with Booster 3 on Quantum Gun, Quantum Gun with Booster 3 destroys Crimson Scorpion with ease. I mean, look how quick this thing goes down. Dead. Fastest kill that we've gotten on a boss so far. Or at least a primary boss. Crimson Scorpion, however, is very easy to get tangled up in the wall. So, fortunately, since this was a decent round battle, we didn't even have to worry. But David Geed was apparently looking in the background too. So yeah, he was investigating Gibson's involvement with Void. But that 100% black mystery fellow, we might see him again. And it's weird that they made his art style look very similar to Gibson. More on that at a later time, however. But either way, we have more work to do, so at this point, we now need to go to Cherry Shuffle. Cherry Shuffle is the last regular location that you can go to in Rigel Kent. Now, if you were to go here early on, if going to Cherry Shuffle early on doesn't really do much, except it'll tell you that, like, you'll scan the area, it'll say it's Gibson's house, but it'll tell you that nobody's there. So, it's probably recommended to go back later. There are also some other resources you can get from there too, but you'll see them once we get to Cherry Shuffle. So, we have to restock on Homing Missile 2 because Foul Egg did a number on us. 11,000. Let's be glad. Let's be glad that I made Brian a rich man at the beginning of the game. Speaking of rich people, if you watched the July 30 episode of The Young and the Restless, then you know for a fact that Chelsea Lawson just became a very rich woman, thanks to Calvin Boudreau's inheritance of $5 million US. Now that would be interesting. Imagine me, out of nowhere, getting a random inheritance. I mean, who would invest in me? I've had to completely rely on myself in some cases, mind you, just in some cases, throughout the years. And, you know, I've always been somebody who has never viewed money as more important than its purchasing power. Which ultimately, in some views, some people would probably say that that would make me a good candidate to win a lottery or something, because such people would understand that I'd put the money to good use. And there's no two ways about it. I may not be a treasurer. I may not be an accountant. I may not be a lot of things when it comes to the subject of finances, because I don't really ever get much. I don't spend much. But what I will say is, when I have to invest in something, and I have the money to do it, I do my homework. I know what I have to do, and I won't have to worry. Either way, now time for plot. Welcome to Gibson's house. Dan apparently left a message recorder here, so there's going to be some details that you'll need. There will also be some information cards that we'll be getting too. Looks like Gibson was also hanging out with friends and even had a date. But now there's a message here for Brian. So now there is some information about Joshua Aykroyd that you need to know. This effectively means that, as a result, Gibson was investigating Aykroyd. The only question is, why? So wishfully, the info cards will give us some information. Returning to Dan's house at any time will just give you this message. No one's inside. Now, so we're going to talk to Diana Gaddis here, so that we can at least have this dealt with, so that we don't have to worry about that when we head back. Of course, I mean, Brian is depressed out of his ducking mind. This is, yeah, but the fortunate thing is, at least Gaddis helps bring him back to his senses, despite how angered Brian still happens to be. But man, it hurts. It hurts to see him talk like this. But either way, now the kamikaze mission starts to feel a bit more real because of this anger. And wow, it is starting to get a bit dry in here. Fortunately, I have my full 23-ounce cup of water. That was some good water. So now Brian has the permission to go to Barnard. Now, as I mentioned before, now that you have access to Barnard, it's still 89 degrees in here. Now that you have access to Barnard, you now have to worry about bus errors. So, know which areas you can't go to. I'll show off some. So yeah, so this basically shows that Gibson was working as a double agent. So, Amazons of Twilight function the Barnard System, and man, is it anarchaic there. They are ridiculously aggressive. So if you can avoid space fight, do so. But you'll get a lot of good money if you do fight them. But either way, so yeah, you now have to go to Pluto 2 in the Barnard System. Yeah, who would have thought that there's a second Pluto in the universe? But here's the interesting thing. Now, I'm about to look up... Whoa, what's up? Oh, I know what happened. My traction control got bad. But before we do that, so here's a secret bar known as Wellham Boat Club. Well, it's not a secret anymore, because, you know, you had to push the trees. The bar is the secret. Yeah, the bar is the secret because of how I mean, it is kind of out of the way for what it's worth. So again, if I look up Pluto 2 as a planet in Google, you're not going to get any information. You're not going to get any information about Pluto 2. So, yeah. Sadly, we have to can the subject, at least in the real world. But who knows? Maybe the Barnard System has a planet that is resemblant to that of Pluto. It wouldn't sound so far-fetched. I mean, if the Sirius system can have a maximum security prison run by humans, I guess we can have a second Pluto. You know what? This is really bugging me. I'm gonna have to go to the control panel. Yeah, go into the control panel while doing a commentary. I have never done this before. I have never done something like this before. Actually, no, I take it back. Because I've gone to Wikipedia, I've gone to other areas while talking over a commentary. But, you know, I'm a one-man show right now. Well, technically a one-man show, but also promoting a whole bunch of friends, colleagues, you name it. You can't see me right now, but I'm dancing to Rigel Kent's theme. I cannot get enough of this track. Let's see, enhanced point of precision. Does that work? Let's see. Setting it to fast on the Picasso is ridiculous. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's drop that. Let's see. 5 bars? You know what? 5 bars is fine. If I need to... No, that's still too fast. 3? 4. 4 is more... No, 3. I'll stick with 3. 3 seems fine. And, you know, I'm actually also one of those people that enables display pointer trails. Because, you know, I kind of love that little after image. Also kind of helps if I ever have a graphical issue. But then again, you rarely will ever have this kind of an issue, even on later versions of Windows with stronger processors and graphics cards. Though it is still an issue for, you know, faulty hardware and whatnot. That's just to be expected. Now, you notice that I headed back to the solar system. I didn't have the Barnard yet. There's a reason for this. And what is that reason, ladies and gentlemen people? Because we have to find out whether or not you can interact with Daigo Hidari. You won't get Hidari. You'll instead get what's his name? Oh, right, the pupil doesn't have a name. Also, helps give me a reason to go and, like, if you're low on homing missile 1, just come here. Cheapest place in the world for homing missile 1. $20 a piece. 4,000 credits. I said $20 a piece. Oh my goodness. So, if you go here, you get this. This is bus error $00002. So if you happen to get this, you're gonna have to reset the game and hope to duck you made a save. Because if you're doing this in single segment and you're playing this blind, if for some reason you're speedrunning this game blind, you're gonna lose hours worth of gameplay. It will kill your run. But fortunately, as I said, bus errors are not common, and if it's not, and if you don't have to go to a certain area, you don't have to worry about going to that area. So either way, you're not going to soft lock. You're not going to soft lock just yet, but you'll see what happens. Oh, I completely missed the bullets. Wow. The benefits of Quantum Gun with Booster 3, ladies and gentlemen people. Atom Gun with Booster 3 probably would be just as efficient, but it wouldn't be nearly as accurate. So, yeah. Just be oblivious to the wind and just gun it. Just gun it. Either way, though, so next job is to head to Barnard. So let's go to the final tower. Like everywhere else, it's still 2,000 credits. Oh, we didn't get the glitch here. So there's going to be a glitch that, it's a music glitch. You'll be seeing it more, I think, once we get to part 7 and 8. You'll understand what I'm talking about when the time comes. Basically, now, we're about to get the gravity engine, which finally gives us the ability to warp anywhere on the map. Now, depending on how you use it, especially in the solar system where the register for that music, I don't know if it's a music, I think it was the music file. The register for it is glitched, so as a result, what you have to worry about is that the music will play at the beginning of the cutscene once you get to the gravity catapult scene, and it's weird. So now here we are at Mary Duckville. This right here, ladies and gentlemen people, is Mr. Pseudo. But you technically don't know that just yet, unless you read the instruction manual. Now, Pseudo claims that he doesn't know who Pseudo is. And as I said, the reason for this is because he intends to keep a low profile. He doesn't know why Brian's here. He doesn't even know his purpose. So, the big question now is, what to do? Well, there's only one thing to do, ladies and gentlemen people. Enjoy some lovely guitar. This actually sounds like something that would have been pumped out on the Gems driver. I can imagine somebody, probably either Yuzo Boy or The Legend of Renegade, making a remix of this track, but only using instruments from Comic Zone. Yeah, I can definitely see that. I would do it myself, but you know, it takes time to develop a mid-eye, you know? And I don't think I can really, like, are there any YM2151 to mid-eye conversion applications, kind of like how there's a mid-eye to SMPS and SMPS to mid-eye? Does Gems to mid-eye even exist? I don't even know. Maybe. It possibly exists, but I haven't seen it. The downsides of still half and half living in the 2000X decade while living in late 20XX. 2010X! What am I saying? It's not 2099! It's 2019! But either way, so once we're here, we can get some resources. Also, there's a reason why I purchased Booster 2, or at least got another... Did I have another copy of this? Either way. So now, talking with this man, give up your Booster 2. The reason for this is because when you head to Old New York, Craig Takorda is the Meister there. Normally, if you go there before talking with this man here, you would have to pay $8,000 for a hull modification. But since now we're doing what we're doing, we now only have to pay $4,000. You see? It's all coming into play. It's all strategy, my brothers and sisters. Now, on to Old New York, where we can enjoy the old times with Fry and Leela. Oh wait, sorry, this isn't the 3000. This isn't the 30XX century. This isn't the 31st century. Wait a minute, hold up here. So, yeah, like as I mentioned, with Uranus, Old New York is the same. Same music, similar style. I actually do need to double check about Old New York. Or no, just Futurama, because it's been a while. So, after interacting with Craig Takorda, you'll then have all the gravity items, which, so you'll get the gravity shield. Yeah, you'll get the gravity shield. You'll be able to use Gravity Gun 3 if you have it. Did I say Gravity Engine already? Yeah. You get Gravity Engine. And you can use H-Shot 3 now if you can't already. Yep, and you can also use Homing Missile 3. So, now you have an optimized Star Cruiser, at least for the regular game. Once we start getting into, endgame, then we're gonna get the spatio-temporal engine, and also, that's it, actually. So here I am looking, because, yeah, I'm right. I was right. Futurama does take place in the 3000s. I was kind of out of... Yeah, I was kind of out of place there. I wasn't able to... Oh, thank you, Twitter. At least Twitter airs the, Yeah, at least Twitter's airing the debate. But not like I can watch it now. I'm talking over part 6. This is a 90-plus minute part. By the way, can I just say, Old New York Steam is snitching. Yes, you guys know what I mean when I say snitching. Oh, man. Man, oh, man, oh, man. Now, if I remember research correctly, I think Man Oh Man Oh Man was used in an episode of the A-Team. Either the A-Team or Magnum P.I. Probably was the A-Team. I think it was probably said by, it's George Papard who plays as Hannibal, right? If my memory serves correctly, it was either him, Face, or Murdoch. It definitely wasn't Mr. T. Definitely was not Mr. T. I would remember that. Oh wow, it's been 25 years since we lost George Papard? I did not know that. I honestly didn't know. Because I could have sworn that he was around even in the 2000s, but I guess I was wrong. So he would be, wow, he would, on October 1, he would be 91. It's probably some good trivia for you folks if you ever need to, I don't know, learn up on your 8-team information. Yeah, again, it's not something that I would typically discuss in a commentary of this, well, any kind of commentary of any magnitude, but because of what Star Cruiser is, I mean, there's a lot of kind of nothingness going on in the labyrinth, especially, you know, like here, where you have to really be strict with the moving pads in front of you. So, you know, this actually gives me time to go through Google and Wikipedia and elsewhere. But, hello? I walked right through my ship! That doesn't make sense, game! But either way, so now we could just warp anywhere, so thought I'd show off as an example. So it's actually nice to see, though, that we... Yeah, it's nice to see, though, that we finally do have this, because, man, does this make the gameplay that much more bearable. The gravity engine is so important, but it also shows you why we couldn't just simply do sequence breaking, because that would have been just flat out insane, brutal even. So now you get to see what's here. So we have Atom 3, we got Seed. Seed is basically kind of like Mercury in this regard. You have Daydream, which looks like nothing but clouds, which is kind of weird. Old New York, which just looks like Earth but it's brown. Gargantua, which kind of looks like a sun. And then Pluto 2. Colony D2D is where we would land if we hit the gravity catapult, and gravity catapult's there in the background. So either way, that's all this game wrote in terms of the map. Well, I kinda am semi-lying about that, because let's not forget that, well, there's Dry Rock, but let's also not forget that there is the second appearance of Camel, the Space Caravan. You can't see me right now, but I'm trying to do some kind of Latin dance. Yeah, trying to do a Latin dance without Latin music kind of feels a bit off, but somehow I manage. Speaking of which, I actually kind of do like the Latin approach that it's Masato Nakamura, right? Composer for Sonic 1 and 2. I kind of like how the SMPS version of Aquatic Ruin was handled. Because, I mean, it honestly does feel like you could just plaster any kind of good footage that features such dancing, and it'll work perfectly with Aquatic Ruin. Assuming it is within the same tempo range, too. I mean, of course, the track has some references to the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly's main theme. Probably one of the greatest Western film themes of all time. And there's Analyzer 3. Now, Analyzer 3 is important. You do need that. You will need it in order to read one final information card at the end of the game. Or at least before you go to Void. You'll understand later. But now here we have a hidden bar. Another hidden bar. So this is Cheap Joke. You have to come here later on, but not for now. For the time being, our mission is to go to Pluto 2, and that is exactly what we will do. The temperature is still 89. It's 8:48 on July 30, and it is still 89 degrees in here. It has not gone down. I mean, the fortunate thing is, you know, my body for the most part is dry for somebody that's running on passive cooling, so, you know, I'll take it. I'll take what I can get my hands on. So, now there's a bar here. I actually kind of like this one. So, Daydream's bar is called Lucky's. And here's what the bartender tells you. Good luck. That's all he tells you. No matter what happens, if you come here and you interact only with the bartender, he'll only ever tell you good luck. Now, you do need the wall sensor here because you kind of, you're not going to know about this, but you do have to worry about unavoidable damage. This is why you get the gravity shield. Now, you can sell the ancient weapon here for 40,000 and Radar 3 for 25,000. The only reason why you would do that is if you need to purchase Gravity Gun 3 from Pluto, but now you have Auto Bullet 3 and 8-Shot 3, only place in the universe where you can get it. 32,000 credits for Homing Missile 3, and 24,000 for 8-Shot 3. Oh my goodness. We just blew 56,000 credits on Weapon. Do you know how brutal it was to look at that the first time that I played this game? Because when I first did this with the money cheat, I initially only came in with about 2.5 million. Because that's all I thought I needed. Technically, you only need about 1 million or 1.5 million to really do what you have to here. But it doesn't hurt to have more. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's too much. So, you can move some rocks here on Gargantua, but interacting with anybody here, it doesn't really do much of anything, so yeah, you can't go any further on Gargantua until you deal with your mission on Pluto 2. So, from here, once you've refilled your tank, just warp to Pluto 2, and the rest is history. Now, you might need to come here at least twice if you are low on weapons, especially if you use up your missiles quickly. It's probably not going to be the Katarinas that give you a problem. It's probably going to be the later enemies that give you a problem. Now, even though, yes, we have the gravity engine, right now is a very unwise time to be upgrading to Gravity Gun 3. And the reason for that is because Gravity Gun 3, against regular enemies, yes, it packs a punch, but unless you're playing at 10 megahertz, you can really run out of your fuel very quickly. I mean, you're even noticing here with the quantum gun, I am still kind of losing power. I mean, if it took that long for me to defeat just 2 Katarinas, you can tell that this area means business. And it shows itself. It really does. Now, I'm very sure that if this were Star Cruiser MD, what we'd have to worry about is the fact that we don't have something that can protect us against extreme cold temperatures. So as a result, yeah, very likely you'd probably be seeing that temperature gauge, no, sorry, the oxygen gauge go all the way down, and it would be a very depressing time for everybody involved. But fortunately, that is not the case here. Man, these guys go through a lot of Homing Missile 1. Look at that. Took me 41 Homing Missile 1s just to go through these guys. That is insane. That is insanity. That's too much weapon to be using up in an area such as this. Too much weapon. I'm trying to remember where I've seen an art style like this for the ice mountains. Would these be considered glaciers? You know, maybe it was... No, Echo the Dolphin had something similar, but it wasn't exactly on par. And don't get me wrong, Sonic the Hedgehog 3's Ice Cap will definitely go more over this any day, but... Specifically Ice Cap Act 2, mind you. But either way... I mean, don't get me wrong. For 1988 and 89 standards, this is some of the best you could get with this art style. And rightfully so, you know, even though at 25 megahertz, you know, the motion of the background's not fluid, it's still attractive. It's still a somewhat attractive background. But then again, that was before the Mega Drive started doing, like, multi-layering for everything. Yeah, dual layer, quad layer, 5-layer if you're talking about Jester's Challenge. Jester's Challenge, honestly, is probably one of the best Labyrinth-based Sonic ROM hacks to date. There haven't been many to compare to, but it still gets a reasonable amount of playtime from me. Maybe it's also just because of the lovely, would that be considered European pop music for the time, or would it just be considered, because I don't think I could call it house music. Not 100%. Maybe I could consider it such, but, my mind's going all over the place. I can't really even think. Cannot think right now. I'm waiting for the temperature to hit 90 so I can finally put on the fan. I want to make sure that this 90 is documented so that I don't have to worry. Dang it, we are still at 89. Seriously, this room does not want to go to 90. It's like, even if I didn't have the damper there, even if I didn't have the fans in here, it would still just be peaking at 89. I guess that's just my house's way of telling me I know my limits and I know how to handicap temperatures so that you don't perish. I think that's the best way to put it. Gotta be careful, however, not to let the sweat get into my eyes, though. Because, one thing I have been suffering from on and off since 2018, since January of 2018, are styes and chalazions. Now, for those of you that don't know what it is, now basically, a styes and chalazions, they look like pimples, almost. Chalazions are usually bigger and will cover the top eyelid, usually. Now, most of the time, at least in the case of styes, those will go away after a bit. But in the case of chalazions, like mine, for example, the one I have here on the right eye, has been here since 2018, since January of 2018. But I have apparently figured out that, you know, over time, you know, if you decide to use either a tea bag or a hot washcloth, like if you do that daily for like 20 minutes at a time, 4 times a day, eventually it'll cause a chalazion to pop, but of course, that's not the method I'm using. I'm letting it go down on its own through, get this, overexposure to dry air. It's easier for me to get rid of a chalazion this way, and it actually has gone down by roughly 70% since I started doing this back in June. I don't even really have to use up much of any energy. I still have, a prescription that I can use to deal with this, but at this point, it's pretty unnecessary. So I don't even know where that bag is. I don't think it's been tossed out. I know I have it somewhere. Yeah, it's not. I know it's not in my bedroom. It's probably in the living room for all I know. But either way. Chalazions, if you happen to have them, they're easy to get rid of. They're easy to get rid of, but you have to be very strategic, and oh my goodness, the unavoidable damage! Move, Brian! Ugh. Ah. Okay. Yeah, be very careful when you get there. Now, technically, there's the boss fight that we have to deal with. Yes, it's an enemy Star Cruiser, but yeah, there are enemy Star Cruisers here. This is where they've been building them. But either way, So, I'm just gonna go through the rooms just to show you that it's nothing but the... excuse me, hiccup. Had a hiccup there. Had another hiccup there, too. Now, I've mentioned this on a few occasions. I think I did back in 2016. All that hiccups really are just air bubbles stuck in the air ducts. So just make sure to swallow some saliva and burp, and that's it. You don't have to worry about anything else. The bubble will come out of you. You'll be fine. If you have another hiccup, just remember it's a bubble. Drink some water, possibly, if you don't have saliva, and you're good. So, now it's time for a ground fight with Barnard's Hawk. That's right. This man who is 100% black, he managed to bamboozle Brian into murdering Gibson. Well, technically it's not murder, it was justifiable homicide. That's the best way to put it. Never able to atone for your sins. You crazy bastard. Either way, time for a good fight. Now, I just want to clarify, based on what I've experienced, I don't think that using missiles like this actually does any damage. So as a result, what you're gonna see me do after I use up all the homing missile 3 here is I will actually switch over to gravity gun 3 to make the fight that much more bearable. Look at how fast the energy drops with gravity gun 3. Oh my goodness, that is... Now do you understand why I didn't use it? That was painful. That was painful to watch. So much energy deprived. Either way, yep. So this is when Brian first finds out that, yeah, this is Barnard's Hawk. Yep, so Hawk's about to leave. But now you are faced with another issue. Once you unlock Gate I, you end up getting this message from Joshua Ackroyd. So he's decided to use D missiles. Computer, explain. The official name is Space-Time Distortion Missile. Now what D missiles happen to do, these are gonna blow up the planet. Joshua's gonna blow up the planet with Brian on it. Keep that in mind. Fortunately, the factory is gonna get destroyed. The enemy star cruisers are gonna be gone. But Brian is mad. He is furious. Sometimes sacrifices must be made. Joshua is one insane character. This is what Gibson warned about. This is what Dan Gibson warned about. So 500 seconds is not really 500 seconds. You don't have close to 10 minutes to get out of here. So you better make sure that you hightail it. So first things first, take the unknown damage. Oh, and also, we're gonna start getting this guy. Yep, the other 100% black being. This is not Barnard's Hawk. This is another 100% black man. The only other black man in the galaxy. So now you have to unlock this gate. Gate J. Once you unlock Gate J, you have to move this particular tree, and then you'll be able to unlock the next gate. The next gate is Gate M. And once you're here, then you have to head left, or right in this case. Now, I actually do not know the order of how to deal with these. So, I guess best way to do it is pay attention to the way I did it. Pay attention to the way I handle all 3 of these. And whichever command I do it last, follow that. That's probably how this works. Because again, this is just spur of the moment. I didn't know exactly how to handle this. I still don't know how to handle this, even though I did it in the way I did. So what do we have here? So we have 1 and 2 off, and then, like, I guess one of them has to go on? Let's see. So I've got 1 and 2 on. Or am I turning on... Nope, no reaction. And then this is going to deal with switch 2. There we go. So I think it's 1 on, 2 off, and 3 on. Don't take my word for that. It might be different when you play it. But either way, you gotta get out of there, and fast. Because, oh my goodness, that clock is ticking. Now, get a load of this. When I first played this, I failed royally on Pluto 2. So yeah, of course, the environment of the entire planet was destroyed by the space distortion missiles, so you can't land on this anymore. So, another thing. So when I tried leaving Pluto 2 in the first time I played this, I was literally right at the Star Cruiser. But I was just, I want to say, a fraction of a second off. Probably about a quarter second off. And the whole place blew up with me on it. Man, did that hurt. That was sad. That was a very sad time. But either way. So now the investigation is into Barnard talk. And also Joshua Aykroyd. So now they're trying to figure out what exactly went down here. And there's no way to contact Huck or Joshua. But either way, so now we're about to go to Lucky's. It's gonna be some more information there. And I'm about to drink myself some water while I go and shop for some Homing Missile 3. Again, that is some good water. Lynn Tap Water, brought to you by Breed's Pond Reservoir. Get it today! The benefits of being an all-around. I can do anything. I can even be Gilbert Gottfried! What? Did you really expect I wouldn't be Gilbert Gottfried for this? It's the swan song of Generation 3 after all. Force of habit, force of habit. I'm in my zone right now. I'm in my creative zone. And I'm feeling good. Feeling very good. Alright, looks like we can talk with Brian. I mean, Brian. We are Brian! So, yep, we can talk with David Geed here. You know, I'll be truthful, I do not know anybody with that style of hair. I don't know any blonde man with that style of hair. But then again, of course, this was the 1980s. If I started seeing men walking around here, blonde white men walking around here with 80s hairstyles, I'd probably think, has Lynn gone back to the 80s? Because ultimately, the way that I see Lynn going now, Lynn is kind of an amalgamation of things. It's an amalgamation of a lot of things. Like, you know, you still have your old legacy trolley ride, trolley course that you could that used to bridge East and West Lynn together. There was other stuff that was here that still resembles its old 1800s and 1900s glory. But, you know, if all these, you know, somewhat modernized houses, it feels a bit like 2005 to 07 in some ways. And then, of course, with the Beyond Walls project and also all the art that has been showing up in downtown Lynn, you know, that's what's brought at least downtown Lynn into the 2010X decade. Other than that, though, like, you can't identify Lin as one specific era or decade. There's really not much that I can say on that. So either way, so we got the information that we need to know. And we're headed, I think we're headed to, are we headed to Gargantua now? No. Wait, what am I doing? Oh no, I think I'm trying to, let's see, so you warp to Seed. Oh yeah, this. Planet Seed, as a result of the Pluto 2 incident, has warped away. You cannot land on Seed right now. So yeah, landing there is just obviously impossible if the planet's not even there. So, don't really know where to head now, do you? So, what am I... Wait, why did I head to Dry Rock? Probably refill on missiles, right? Nope. Why are they still selling the atom gun at this point? There's no point in having the atom gun. But here we go, Penguin's Paradise. So this is just if you want to gather some more information about Pseudo. A very rich person living a king's life somewhere. They say he's 300 years old. Now, as I said before, you'll learn more about that when the time comes. For now, however, let's deal with the plot. So, our next mission is to head to... Yeah, Adam 3. Because now we have to talk to Gabby Todd. So, by this point, Gabby is very likely aware of Max's murder. So, now we have to get this extra information. And man, this can be a bit of a wild goose chase if you're unfamiliar with what you're doing at first. Especially if you're not playing with the money cheat like I am. But now the bar has been opened. But first, you see that information, negative 320, negative 320, and 1? You have to save that man. But first, let's go to Apple. Yeah, let's just hang out here at Apple Pot, get our information from Gabby Todd, and the rest will all speak for itself. Dang it! How many times am I gonna say that? How many times will I say and the rest speak for itself? I guess some things will never change. This room really doesn't want to hit 90. It really doesn't. Yeah, almost tugged off the earphones off the Bose Companion 2 Series 2. That would have been a disaster. Because of the way that the Sony IC recorder works, the Sony IC recorder unfortunately picks up everything. And because of the way that it desyncs audio, yes, it desyncs audio pretty badly. So you have to be careful. That would have been a disaster. I'd have then had to pick up the cord, plug in everything. And yeah, after we've talked with the info man, there's nothing more you can do here, so... Oh, and that tower that you see at the end of Adam 3, can't do anything there, can't go to it. So, now we have to go to this unknown area, which is just a destroyed series of ships. So that's where the distress signal is, and that is where we shall find this man. Another General Arsis lookalike. So basically what Brian is doing here, he's saving some people. Yep. This is when you learn about the ancient weapon. So this ship was on the verge of destruction. The D-Miser can obliterate an entire fleet. So now that you have this information, now you can understand the power of the ancient weapon. But first, take these guys to Daydream, and then we can head to Gargantua, or we can read up on the card. Or do what I'm doing and refill your dang fuel. Refill your fuel tank. Never be low on energy. No matter what you do in this game, make sure that your energy is stocked up very well. I cannot stress that enough. Still feels weird to be visiting a planet that's nothing but clouds. I mean, where would we happen to be? An island in the sky? You know what? That doesn't sound so far-fetched. Imagine if Earth, like all the land on Earth, perished, but we still had the water. Yeah, that's what we would be doing. We'd be creating literal floating islands. Probably not Sonic the Hedgehog 3 style. Probably not like that. Angel Island is a real island in the California area. But, you know, we're probably going to be down for having some actual island. Wait, hold up here. I have to head somewhere else? But where? Where am I supposed to be headed to? Oh yeah, if you head back here, yeah, the computer just mentions that that is the remains of the starship. Nothing else there except for that. So, where to next? So, if you talk to, oh my goodness, decoy flares of 400 here. That's a disaster. But yeah, if you talk to Pseudo again, he'll be surprised that, you know, you're still having difficulty finding him. You know what? It just hit me. Look at the way that Pseudo's beard is. If it were any browner, it would feel or look a bit more like Chuck Norris. And I don't say that loosely. So either way. So now you get to learn information about the Amazons of Twilight. Developing weapons and luxury equipment. I wonder what this quote-unquote luxury equipment is. I mean, because this can't be like Mother Russia Bleeds, where you know, we have a whole bunch of sex-crazed soldiers. That's not the case here. That's definitely not the case. We're not seeing a whole bunch of hotels run under void. We're not seeing a whole bunch of women and whatnot. That's not what I'm seeing here. And oh, please don't tell me I'm lost. Please don't tell me we're lost. Either way, so I guess we'll head to Gargantua now. So I hope that we have everything that we need. So when you talk with this woman, yeah, okay, now you're able to go forward. Once you have, once you see that style of dialogue, then we can just go with the flow. We can go ahead and do what we have to. Now, yeah, I'm gonna switch back to the quantum gun because, oh my goodness, Gravity Gun 3. I despise Gravity Gun 3 and its energy consumption. That was disturbing. Now, we'll be seeing that second person later. But, still got some more trees to move. It says it's a coniferous tree. like duck, nothing happened. Okay, there we go. There we go. So now once you talk with this one, making a save state here, by the way. I don't know how many I make. Oh, just the one. So Brian talks here with this particular woman. She is a bit relentless. But either way, yep, just some void agents or soldiers. But they are easy to take down just like everybody else in Pluto 2 and elsewhere. So, no harm, no foul. Though I won't lie, on Quantum Gun with Booster 3, this is where you really start to see how much its firepower has started to decline, and why you might need to resort with Gravity Gun 2 at the very least, which, if memory serves correctly, you can get on Atom 3. So now we have Scoot. Now, the Scoots definitely do have some very, they're easy to take down with Homing Missile 2, but they're very easy to take down with the Quantum Gun as well. So it's ultimately a pick-your-poison situation with these guys. So, it's a fair balance. It's just pick what you feel works right. I mean, if you wanted to splurge on 16,000 credits every single time you want to take down these guys, then do so. But, yeah. So, yeah, the situation is this. You're gonna see me go back and waste multiple amounts of 16,000 credits just to take down these guys. Because this area has 4 floors. And if you want to get everything in this area, you have to deal with all 4 floors, no matter where you go. Those towers that you see there, by the way, you also cannot access. So, yep, sadly you're kind of in a bit of a pickle here. You have nowhere to go but west. And also you can move rocks here for some free money. So I think it probably would have been wiser to have a good amount of 10,000, maybe even 20 or 25,000 credits here. But you know what? We can save that for Star Cruiser Easy Type. You know somebody will make Star Cruiser Easy Type. And that's probably one of the most important resources that you'll need. All the money in the world. But either way, so... Yeah, I think by this point we've already gotten all that we need from this section. There is the 4th energy tank here, but you do have to go out of your way a bit to get it, because there is a gate you have to unlock, and then you have to come back down, get the 4th tank, and, well, again, the rest speak for itself. See that green wall? That's where you'd have to go. But can't access there yet, so gotta deal with all these scoots. Do not use your Homing Missile 3 here. Unless you want to keep warping back to Daydream and using up more energy than you have to, I would recommend highly against it. Which is part of the reason why I'm heading back to restock on shield, fuel, and missiles. Because again, you just can't have too much weapon in an area like here. I am curious though as to whether or not Star Cruiser Easy Type, or if an RSDK version of Star Cruiser would get rid of the weapon cap. Because don't get me wrong, 80 is understandable considering the size of the weapons. I mean, considering the size of the ship. But you know, what if somebody wanted to have a limitless supply of missiles? That way we never have to worry about having to restock so much. You know, that probably would have been a good benefit. But then again, Helandre. Then again, you know, this is a Sharp X68000 in 1989. I'm sure that if they wanted to do it, they could, but again, data limitations. There probably was a reason why you couldn't have 99 missiles. And it probably also had to do with the heads-up display too. Because, as you see here, the highest amount that you probably could have been able to get on screen is 89. You probably couldn't reach 99 or 100. So 80 was probably that sweet spot that the developers liked. And you know, I'm fine with that. That's totally fine. But what isn't fine is now I have to go back and restock on missiles. But I have more than enough quantum gun to work with. But again, this area loves its missiles. This area thrives on defeating enemies with homing missile 2 and 3. There isn't any more reasonable compromise than this. I better check the temp again. Still at 89! Oh my goodness! It does, again, this does not want to count to 90! I'm looking at it, I'm staring at this, it does not like counting to 90. And it's not like it's much of any cooler outside. Yeah, not much any cooler outside either. It's still 85. It's still 85, and it feels like 89 outside. But, and this is a big but, everybody needs a big but sometimes. The humidity is at 64%, and the dew point, however, is 71, so it's still going to be starchy anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if you could still see haze from some of the highest points in Lynn, be it High Rock Tower, or some of the mini apartment buildings in downtown Lynn. But either way, I mean, even with a 9-mile-an-hour wind, it's amazing. It's amazing as to how well I'm holding up here. Even despite how bad the temperature is. Now anybody in their right state of mind would say, you're crazy. You're killing yourself in this weather. I assure you, I am perfectly fine. I wouldn't be talking over this if I wasn't. We went down the wrong way, my brother. We gotta go the other way. See what that wall sensor's telling you? Can't move that rock. We have to kill these guys over here. Destroy the land braze here. And then we can work our magic. Oh wait, I'm using homing missile 3. Why am I using homing missile 3? I must have forgotten that I was using homing missile 3 at this point. But, you know what, it's fine. It's fine. Whatever makes these fights go by faster, right? And going here, you actually can rack up a good amount of money. So you go, another 1,000, another 5,000. So that's 8,000 credits there. Can't move that rock though. But either way. So we only got 2 homing missile 3s now. And that actually is kind of bad if you needed it. So yeah, you'd have to hightail it back to Daydream at this point. But you know what? We're fine. We're fine. There's nothing to worry about. We can go to the second floor and deal with what we have to. No. We just only took 1. We need 79. We need 79, clerk. 77. That's better than nothing. Oh, my apologies. Here I am thinking that homing missile 2 is homing missile 3. Oh. Yeah, that kind of shows you I'm out of it. I'm out of it. But I'm not drunk. Here's the thing. The many times that I've had to say, what am I drinking or what am I smoking in a commentary, be it on this channel or elsewhere. Oh, by the way, more invisible wall. I must clarify. When I do these commentaries, I am stone cold sober. I am stone cold sober when talking over these games. And honestly, for me, there's no better lifestyle. You know, I'm not doing bad stuff to my body. I'm not having to worry about much. The only thing I ever have to worry about is, well, it's mostly heat dependent, actually. Like if I were to sleep in this weather without any actual cooling, if it's dry enough, I will wake up with a nosebleed. Or I will have a random nosebleed. That's one of the only things I really have to worry about. Other than that, I'm pretty much fine. But just to clarify, these random nosebleeds have only been happening since, I want to say, it was a September day in 2016. It was a Thursday, I think. It was either a Wednesday or Thursday. Yep, I'm right. September 14 of 2016. Yep, I wouldn't forget that. I would not forget that. That was a brutal day for me on many fronts. Man, was that a hard time. A hard time indeed. But if you want to get the inside scoop on that, you're gonna have to talk to me personally. Not on here, not in the comments. That's something that's for another time. Another time, another day, another nickel? I don't know why that SpongeBob reference came to mind, but I don't know. I guess it just needed to be said. Another day, another nickel. You know, back in the day, if you had a nickel, you know, back then it was probably very prosperous. If we were like in, say, the 17 or 1800s. Nowadays, however, you can barely do anything for a nickel. It costs roughly 160% or worse to make a penny, and roughly 9.40 cents as of 2016 to make a nickel. Don't you think we need to abolish coin-based currency here in the US? Because if we just stick with dollars, I mean, it would give us a reason to finally bring back, if it ever existed, a $25 bill. Why put Harriet Tubman on the 20? Just give her the 25! Or even a 30, for duck's sake. I mean, do we have to replace Andrew Jackson? I mean, at least in the case of Andrew Johnson, he violated his Secretary of War and... no, alright. I need to clarify that for a second. So, I forget exactly what act Andrew Johnson had violated, but he had fired his Secretary of War. Now, my grade 12 U.S. government teacher, Peter Spiliakos, good man, he accidentally one day said that Andrew Johnson violated the Secretary of War. And the entire class broke out in laughter. I was probably laughing the hardest. That was probably the one thing that stood out. And Troy, Troy Goose got rank 11, second in command for Generation 3. There would be some occasions where he would bring up, that scenario, and man, oh man, every single time, that line has remained ageless for the past 6 years. We have stayed with that for the past 6 years, and it has remained ageless. And here is where we get our 4th energy tank. All the free fuel in the world. Why couldn't these have been energy plus 5,000s or energy plus 10,000s? We wouldn't have had to have a big Enos square or circle or pincer attack or whatever you want to call it. But either way, at this point in the game, you need this energy tank. Because there is no way you're going to void and you're lasting solely on 40,000 units of energy. You need 50,000. And remember, the last energy tank is on void. So once you get to 60,000, that's it. You'll have all the energy you need. But if you happen, you possibly could beat void on 50,000. But you would be risking it. You could probably beat it on 40,000 or even 10,000. But again, that would be playing it very close. That would be very scary. I know I'm very sure it can be done. There's gonna be somebody years from now who uses a Sharp X68000 task emulator and will do this for us. But I can only imagine how brutal that will be. And I fish you not, they will be doing this at 100 megahertz. They will be doing this at 100 megahertz. It's gonna feel crazy looking through this entire area at 100 megahertz because of how fast it goes. Now, we could go to the 4th floor right now, but we would be doing some sequence breaking. So, well, technically not sequence breaking, but we would end up missing out on some invaluable. Is invaluable the proper term here? Some important information. You have to rescue Geed. Rescue Geed. So now you can get this information. So, Geed will destroy the D-Miser, while we end up getting the original ancient weapon, what was the D-Miser's premise, so to speak, or basis. And then we will be able to rule the world. So we have information cards here. We might as well read them. 3 cards. Specimen number VS-05A. Omnidirectional impact gun. Salvaged from the remains on Gargantua. Possesses overwhelming destructive power far beyond that of any modern weapons. And then the next item, which we'll be getting later. Spatio-temporal drive engine. VXF. Salvaged from Gargantua. Compared to existing machines, it has much higher efficiency. The energy consumption during warping is low too. You will need that engine, and you will get it at the end of the game. And also, there's some more information here. Fade, a satellite in the Sirius system, will have the information that you will need for for an ancient stone tablet. But you won't get that information until we head back to Sirius. Fade is on Salamander for those that are curious and wondering where to go. Because obviously, there's nowhere listed Fade on the map. So you might be curious, where are you supposed to go? You have to go to Salamander. The only thing is, for an area called Salamander, there aren't a lot of salamanders. That feels weird. But either way, just gotta deal with the last of the scoots here. And then we can go up to the 4th floor. The pool on the 4th floor, ladies and gentlepeople. Nah, there's not really a pool on the 4th floor. Okay, I need to explain that. So, while I was at Lynn Anglia Senior High, there's always been this myth that allegedly there is a swimming pool on the 4th floor. But here's the thing. Technically, there are 4 floors when you include the basement. But when you include the basement, that means that there's just the roof. To my knowledge, the roof does not have a pool. But you know what I would love to do? If for some reason I happen to have absolute maximum ownership of every single school here in Lynn, there would be a pool. I would finally fulfill the myth of there being a pool on the Lynn Anglia Senior High 4th floor. I would add rooftop basketball to Lynn Classical Senior High. Probably add some nice workout area on the rooftops of LVTI. St. Mary's? I'll let the students vote on that. Yeah, I'll give them like 4 different options, and then we'll see what they come up with. Surprise us, ladies and gentlepeople. The many wonders we could do if money weren't an obstacle. Ain't it? Ain't it a lovely life? So either way, we have a few more scoots and other enemies to deal with on the 4th floor. And it shall be glorious. It shall be fun. And wow, we're into the last 7.5 minutes of this part. I am astounded as to how far we've come. I honestly didn't think I would be able to do this considering the temperature in here. It's still 89. It doesn't... It peaked at 90. It hit 90 very temporarily. It went back to 89. Yeah, I saw it though. I finally saw it. We hit 90. We hit 90 in the house. Oh, what a glorious day. I can finally say that it has warmed up to a record high once again for the 2nd year in a row. Wishfully, it's not like this in 2020. Because, man, this house needs insulation. We need to get rid of this extreme heat. We need to prevent humidity from being absorbed. You know what it is? It's also because of the fact that we actually have windows that... this house is actually kind of it's leaning southwest. So as a result, some of the windows, also due to aging... Oh, Paterandis. That's what this one is. But yeah, so as a result... So, yeah, some of the windows are unfortunately open in a way in which we can't... It's unavoidable. Some way or another, hot or cold air will come in here, humidity will come in here. But either way, back to this. We finally have the ancient weapon. Also known as the ancient gun. And we have enough energy to use it. So get ready, ladies and gentle people. Introducing our first victim. This victim is unexpecting of it. Meet Amazonas. She is very scared. She thinks that she'll survive. Oh, she has hell to pay. So, we can do this at any time, but I want to make sure that we got in close. Now, we're about to use the ancient weapon. You need 30,000 units of energy to use the ancient weapon, and like that, instant kill! Instant kill on Amazonas. The greatest weapon that we have ever gotten in this game. And we took down probably one of the most brutal bosses for the ground fights. Man, that was satisfying. You do not know how important it is for a game like Star Cruiser to give you such a luxury this deep into the game. We're at about the 80% mark at this point, so... Well, technically we're at the 75% mark, but technically we're at the 81% mark. And now we find out that Diana Gaddis was in disguise the whole time. But, again, this was so important. And I'm happy that you guys were able to see this too. So if any of you wanted to get in the blitz kill, if you're doing a speed run, just make sure that you have at least 35,000 units of energy once you get to Amazonas. Use the ancient weapon, and you'll still have some energy left if you need to come back here, talk to Diana, restock on weapon, refill your fuel, all that jazz. Man, that felt so right. And we're at the last 3 minutes, so the next thing from here is that we're gonna stare at the fountain. Okay. Alright, now we're actually gonna head back to Seed because Seed is now available. The only thing is I don't know if Seed is available right away, or if you have to warp out of Barnard and then head back to Barnard. Nope, Seed has properly returned, so this is where we have to go, and this is the last bit of information that we can get at this time. We have to head back to Sirius after this. But that won't be until part 7. So, this is where we get some more information on Pseudo, the bartender of Cheap Joke, who just so happens to look like General Arceus. How many times are we going to get General Arceus lookalikes? How many times? But either way, so now, yeah, alive for over 300 years. Now remember, this is the 2400s. Watch what Brian says. Why is that? There was life-extending treatment back then. This is important. This ultimately means, yes, he banned 200 years ago. This ultimately means that at some point in the 2050s or 21XX century, we will finally have life extension. But due to something that happened in the 2200s, late 2200s, life extension got banned. So as a result, our Chuck Norris looking fellow here is probably one of the last living descendants of life extension. That is insane to some degree. But here's the thing. It's not like an intergalactic council can't say, "Hey, let's bring back life extension." But ultimately, I think another reason for it too is because of this. If my memory serves correctly, I forget which episode of the Twilight Zone it was. But if you talked with in the episode, basically a person, some guy ends up getting life extension to become immortal, and then he ends up murdering somebody. He then ends up getting life in prison. That's one pretty ducking ridiculously bad punishment for somebody who has to live forever. So ultimately, if life extension ever does become realized in our current time, they will need to omit life from prison. That ultimately will have to be a thing. Now we actually get to see the glitch. So listen very closely above my voice. So because we warp to the gravity catapult, when we go here to the gravity catapult and warp, now we get the music. The solar system music will play. It doesn't do this in Rigel Kent. It only does it here in the solar system, and it's because of a register that happens when it's triggered. What I don't know is why it happens. It might be an issue with RAM. But either way, so we are now at the end of part 6 and the end of the parts where I don't know what the music video will be because I haven't made it yet. So this is the last of 3 parts where this was a situation. It is now 9:46. We're now 9:47. I met my quota for the day. So we will get back to parts. Yeah, I'll get on to part 7 when the time comes. I'll probably start doing it after Blood and Treasure. But either way, we're coming up to the final main portion of the game before Void, and it shall be glorious. We're about to take down Barnard's Hawk. I'm about to show you what happens when you go to Riken. Oh, glorious, glorious time. So either way, enjoy the music video, and I'll see you in part 7.
I am the stone that the builder refused. I am the visual, the inspiration that made ladies sing the blues. I'm the spark that makes your idea bright, the same spark that lights the dark so that you can know your left from your right. I am the ballad in your box, the bullet